Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the Box. Joining me today, to my right is...
As always, the stat guy, Vitor Silva, and I will be playing two roles since Chris Corto isn't here today. I will be the instigator against my own self. So I will be having an internal debate about something involving capitals because he loves capitals.
If only we had like the... Imagine if we had the graphics to do like the little like devil and angel of Vitor and Chris just on the
Edison,
shoulders.
can we get a...
Oh, that'd be amazing if that worked. And then I will also serve a role for Chris today, which is having the same namesake as him, just to keep that continuity going. But yes, thank you, sir. But well, I figure might as well jump into the stuff that a lot of fans kind of seen, especially Bruins fans. The rough, tough game, 1-0 loss against New Jersey this past Sunday in the oddly timed 5:30 game. Obviously, a lot of controversy for some fans and other people when it comes to discussing the whole goalie interference that would have tied the game, and also the red line that it in the goal crease with the puck and all of that. Bruins ended up losing that game 1-0 because of two close calls, and we can start with you with your opinions on that because I already have my own that I can kind of build off after. But I know a lot of people, as always, with whatever team they're rooting for or whatever team they're rooting against, you always have your people, your social media heroes, always being like incoming salt from Bruins fans, or like
I'm like, yeah, I'll be.
Or
I'll be
it's like,
salty.
it's against the Bruins, so it doesn't count when people are like Bruins versus refs or whatever, which I think is just a stupid phrase anyway, in my opinion. But what do we got from your feedback with that whole overall falling out?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the comments too, and I thought it was hilarious because I was seeing fans from both sides. I've become less hysterical and less biased as I grew up. Kind of understood what kind of like, okay, like grow up. It's like the goal across the goal that didn't end up going with the red line across the goal line. It's a tough call. It's really hard because on the ice you got no goal, and in order to turn it you need conclusive evidence, and we're shown this one angle. It's from not an overhead shot, but a shot kind of from the side. It was I don't know what
like neutral zone area, but like above.
Yeah, and it showed a good, like a positive, if you're a Bruins fan, a positive sign of like, oh, that's across the goal line. And then a part of me is like, well, we can't just say it's good from one angle without looking at the other angles. And the overhead shot, I'm like, oh, it's so close. And I don't think, and it has to be clearly, there has to be white in between. And unfortunately there wasn't. And I can pass it off to you, Chris.
Yeah, and I think, granted, there's a lot of passionate hockey fans and all that, and I don't want to say they're few and far between compared to other sports, but in a way they kind of are. But say for casual viewers who are just getting into hockey, or every once in a while towards the end of the season they'll start turning into the Bruins, a reminder for all people who maybe their favorite sport is American football. It's not the case where the puck, if it breaks the plane of the red line, it has to go fully over. You have to see white ice to show that it's gone fully over, whereas in football, obviously, if you break the plane, it goes to the advantage of the offense, and then it's considered a touchdown or a first down, whatever have you, and things like that. And so, yeah, I'm with you. It's just you need to see the conclusive evidence from both of those angles. And like one, obviously, shows it looks like it's in. Also, because of that, it's like the puck is a very unique shaped, other than the American football, a very uniquely shaped object.
It's literally a disc. That's
it's like a biscuit or
times.
A cylinder, and or a thick disc. And so it's like when it wobbles like that, certain ways, like that angle from the neutral zone, like far out aerial view, kind of it. When it's on edge, when it's like up like this, but facing this angle, it looks like it's completely over. It's like, oh, but then when you look at it from the other angle, you can be like, oh no, it's still there and stuff. And so that's the tricky part with all of that. But like, as unfortunate and frustrating as it was the right call. Like, there wasn't enough conclusive, and you have to go from the overhead view, like, in that sense. And so it's like, it was clearly not fully over, even if it's in the air. Because then if you're going to get into that matter, then if it's just going to be, oh, well, it should just be breaking the plane, then how are you going to determine if, say, something hits the crossbar or a post on a shot? There's no way you'd be able to do that. So I think it's kind of like self-explanatory and like safe, and it's just like, it's weird. I feel like when you look at social media, you can't tell tone of voice. You can't tell sarcasm half the time. So you can't tell if people are just saying it to be funny or if they're actually just like really confused and don't understand, or if they're just seeing it with their hearts and actually not looking realistically and stuff. And so as much as I'm a diehard Bruins guy, couldn't tell I got my nice pasta third jersey on today, but it's... if the rule is the way it is, like I'm all about a fair game and stuff. And if there's cheap shots my guys take, I look at it and discuss too, and I don't like when that happens and stuff. And so like I'm like, yeah, we got lucky with that call sometimes, depending on whatever game it might be. It happens each team, and I'm not one who's like, oh, it's like, yeah, like good, we got away with that. It's just like we're lucky we got away with that. But and then I can get into the goalie interference one, and we can bounce back to you after my thoughts with this. A lot of people again hate Boston for so many reasons. I mean, they hate. I don't know. If you just talk about the Patriots specifically, I can't count on one hand.
They hate any team that's not there,
right?
Just like how we hate, just like how we hate Philly, or we hate. But yeah,
or even like with other sports like LA and stuff too. And so it's just like But the thing is, they all hate the NESN announcers. They don't like Jack Edwards or Andy Brickley, and like. They're too much of homers and stuff. And I'm like, the thing is, you realize this is a New England sports channel. You're going to have people who are going to be pro the Boston sport if they're on a regional sports channel. So why aren't you thinking about it? It's not national TV. That in itself should nullify that argument. I kind of hate when people say that. It's like, well, what do you expect when you're on a regional game? You're tuning in because you want the channels of your team. And so it's just like it makes sense that they're going to speak like that. And normally, like I do admit, I love Jack Edwards. I love Andy Brickley. Edwards usually does kind of go on a tirade a little bit more sometimes and kind of sees with his heart a little bit more, specifically with the tripping thing, which we can add after. But Brickley, I think, is normally a little bit more centered.
He's the person of real Edwards.
Yeah.
He's the person of real Edwards, and he's like, okay, we get it. Like.
Got the old like theater hook, like the cane. But
even Brickley got a little bit fired up about. I think it was the New Jersey Devils game
with the interference specifically, and I actually would say that I actually think he was seeing it incorrectly and stuff. I know he played in the NHL, played for a few different teams, New Jersey being.
He'll let you know. He'll let you know.
Yeah, and then but in my opinion, a lot of people I think are missing what happened with the goalie interference. They're all like, because Brickley was specifically saying like that's not in the rule book I saw, where he was only talking about how Krejci hit the goalie's glove and it freed the puck out. They were only talking about that, and everyone else, all the fans. I don't think that's what it was at all. Mm-hmm. If you look at the whole sequence, when Krejci puts his stick in there, yes, it disrupts the puck. But the thing that I looked at when I thought, okay, maybe it's goalie interference, is when you see his stick continue on through and it gets stuck under Blackwood's blocker arm, and it kind of pushes him back into the net a little bit. So by the time he kind of pushes forward to get back over to the other side, he can't get there as quick. Yeah. And if anything, that's what I saw as the reason that goalie interference was determined. I didn't see it for the glove thing, and everyone was just looking at that. I'm like, are you not watching what happens after? Because I forget what the official ruling was that they said. Did they say it was because of the glove, or did they say obstruction of the goalie?
No, So I was also one of those people who thought, wait, how is this a penalty, or how is this not going to stand? I thought it was going to go stand completely because the call on the ice was a good goal, and I was like, why are they challenging this? This is crazy. And because obviously the puck is clearly loose. Like I don't know why they were arguing until after the fact. They said, well, Krejci's stick really does push. Like there's enough to be like. Yeah, he pushed his pad in. It didn't really allow Blackwood to make a legit play on it because he's being impeded. He's being impeded by the stick. So it's tough, but my whole takeaway from that game was they just couldn't get the puck in the net. I think they did a reasonably good job. It's not really there wasn't much of like a concern for effort. It was just execution. They got their chances on the power play. They really did well on their power play, even though they didn't score on it. They had some great opportunities.
Right, and I'm with you with that. Like, especially, and the thing that really put Edwards off was for people who may not have seen, the Bruins were on a power play in the final few seconds of the first period. There was a call against Grzelcyk that was called holding. It wasn't, in my opinion. I think it was just a battle at the blue line, and Miles Wood's glove just came off because of it. Now, the referee was far away, and from his perspective, and being kind of having that blind side area with Grzelcyk kind of getting in his way of seeing what's happening, then he sees the glove fall, and it's like, oh, he must have ripped it off or held him enough, so that's a holding penalty. And then not even that long after that, Subban ends up tripping Studnicka, which from some angles looks like Studnicka just fell, but from others it did look like it was a trip in the skates area. And so, but other people thought that was a makeup call. Like, I'm fine with that.
The Tim Peale call.
I thought both were soft. But then in the final, 10 seconds of the first period, Krejci's cutting into the slot, and he's blatantly tripped by Pavel Zacha, like clear trip. Like
even he thought he was gonna get. He looked at the right. He was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, not even. It's not one of those ones where it's like, oh, like you were playing the puck and it's like the throw the head back. Like, come on, that's soft. That was like a blatant trip. And as Edwards said, like, because they're on the power play, they put the whistles away. And like, he was right, considering the league refereeing has been. After the Tim Peale incident, for those who don't know, Tim Peale was fired after his hot mic was live when he was saying he was trying to give wanted to get a penalty against Nashville early, hinting that he wanted a makeup call against them. However, out of context, it looks a lot worse.
When you say it in front of like everyone,
right? And then, and so the refereeing has been under scrutiny a lot. The last few years, it's been kind of rough. Like, a lot of fans have recognized that, but especially now, like, with that. And then the fact that happened, blatantly obvious, like, everyone in the slot and all, like, 2,000 fans in the building saw it. So, like, because fans are now allowed as of last Thursday in TD Garden, which is kind of nice for things. And then Todd Angeli back singing in the building as well. Amazing. But, yeah, so, I mean, even to that point, what you were getting back to earlier, like, saying, like, yeah, you, like, had your chances. Like, even with that blown call, you shouldn't have to rely on, that could have been a goal or that shouldn't have been interference. Your team is relying too much on one line for offense and not enough depth scoring. And so, like, it comes to a point where you're supposed to be, like, a top team in the league based off how other teams view you and, like, off your roster, how you performed last season. When you're supposed to be a team that's relatively one of the stronger ones in the team, consistent in the league consistently, you shouldn't have to rely on like makeup calls or like calls going your way, because they never go Boston's way usually anyway. So I don't know why everyone's always like refs favor Boston. We usually get screwed with those penalties, in my opinion. But and I see the game rule wise with fair eyes. I'm not completely biased where I'm blind, like some may be with other teams. But it's just all the more reason why inevitably we're going to get into it. Like, trade rumors were just around the corner. It's about 13 days away until the draft, the deadline, and things are heating up. But it's interesting to see what's going to happen with the team and stuff. And I mean, do you want to kind of just jump into it, kind of what we're thinking right now? Apparently, I saw a thing. Cassidy essentially put up like the quote unquote bat list and kind of
the what the bats?
Not bat list, but like it was like bat symbol. I think they said on the article, like the Batman symbol. Like he essentially kind of told like Sweeney, I need a scoring right winger, preferably for a right-handed shot, and a defenseman, because I forget which article that was from, but and then like my thing is, it's like Sweeney is like talking about how he is like kind of afraid to like
pull the trigger in the fact of giving up prospects and giving up the future for the present. But at the same time, they also say that they want to win with this current core because they don't have much time left. Like at the end of this season, you're going to have players like David Krejci, Tuukka Rask, 2 of the 4 left from the 2011 team, both free agents. Yaroslav Halak, another unrestricted free agent. And then you have players like Brandon Carlo, who's a restricted free agent. And so you're going to have all these guys who are either going to be coming back with the team or that are going to need new contracts and might be too much and go somewhere else. And so this really is the last window of opportunity. I don't even think it's next year. I think it's now. Like you might have half the team back next year. You're not going to have all of them. I don't think so. And so you got to, if you're saying you want to win with this core, you got to do it now. You got to pull the trigger. You got to, for lack of better terms, as they say, grow a set, and you got to pull a big trigger. Because yes, the biggest trade that he went for
in his tenure with the Bruins in the Rick Nash deal didn't work out, unfortunately, because
they gave up Ryan Lindgren.
Yeah, and if you have time to pull up the stat corrections, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure what we gave up was a first-round pick, Ryan Lindgren, Matt Bolesky for his contract, and then Ryan Spooner. But then what happened was the Rangers eventually ended up trading Ryan Spooner for Ryan Strome 1v1 to Edmonton. And then something I found out interesting was that pick that we had given them, they actually traded, I think, with New Jersey and moved up by like 2 or 3 spaces, and they ended up drafting K-Andre Miller, the defenseman rookie who's been playing well. And so essentially the Rick Nash deal for the Rangers turned into Ryan Strome, their second-line center, who's been great with Panarin for them, K-Andre Miller, who's going to be a promising defenseman for them, and then Ryan Lindgren, who's also a promising defenseman for them. 22. And so they essentially like turned that trade into like their building blocks for their core and their future. And so like that deal backfired really unfortunately, because I think Nash could have played well and would have re-signed with us, in my opinion, if he hadn't got hurt. If he wasn't concussed, he wouldn't have had to medically retire. And I think he said he liked the idea of coming to Boston, playing with that type of team. And so, like, granted, his numbers were dropping a little bit, but, like, he also was on a tough Rangers team at that time, too.
Yeah.
But, like, I foresaw him kind of, like, sticking around and, like, maybe doing a one-year deal with us. But obviously that deal was really tough with kind of how it turned out. And so we haven't done a big deal like that since, with the exception of the last time we traded a first-round pick was sending Axelson, or not Axelson, Axel something.
PJ Axelson, throwback.
Yeah, no. It was like Axel, like Arneson maybe or something. It was like
I don't know.
Some random guy, a first-round pick, and back is his contract for Kasha and like a pick back. And so that's the last time we've given up a first-round pick. But like, it comes to a point where if you're in win-now mode, you got to do something. Because I heard somewhere that we have all of our draft picks for the next 3 drafts. Like
completely.
Yeah, we do. And so it's like, because I think it was the first-round pick of
2022
of this past year that maybe we gave up, like this past summer's one.
Yeah, no,
that's what it was for the Kasha deal. And so, yeah, I mean, if you have all your picks, your future, you don't have the best like prospect pool. Like I realize that. Like we have our few good guys are the ones playing for us right now. They're not even prospects anymore. They're either the extra guy or they're playing with us. You have like your Fredericks, your Studnikas, your Bjorks, and your Kuhlmans at that point. Those are like and then like your Zaboral, Vakanainen, and Lozon. Those were all like your kind of higher end prospects, and like they're all essentially playing or in and out of the lineup. And so it comes to a point where it's like, yeah, like you want to keep those picks, but like if you're still trying to win,
gotta do something
like
big.
Like how do you handle it if you're like the GM? Like what do you do? Like because I understand it's like a lot of your core is old and they're going to be gone with a few years, but then you still have guys like, say, Charlie Coyle, Chris Wagner, David Pasternak, McAvoy, and Carlo contracts pending. That's going to be your new core, like, most likely. And so it's like your core's still young in that sense for the new core. So it's like, how do you handle trying to add a guy now who could enter his prime or be in their prime currently and still stay with the team for another 5 years if you bring him in a trade versus just accepting fate and just drafting and rebuilding?
A big issue that I have with the Bruins right now is their lack of identity. There are some nights where they're just playing out of their mind, and whether that's due to their own opportunities that they're creating on their own, or if it's by giveaways by the Flyers. But no, I think I haven't really put a finger on what the Bruins want to be. Do we want to be this fast skating, prioritized defense? I know a couple years ago with Claude, it was you have to take the back end of your defense first, and then generate opportunities to scoring chances. But right now it's we can't even get to the front of the net. Can't even get to the center. There's no real puck handler who could just go coast to coast. The only person I could think who would do that, they're a handful or less than a handful. You got Marchand. I wouldn't even consider Pasternak to be one of those coast to coast.
You're talking like the forwards just simply, right? Or just role players? Because we can talk about McAvoy's skating ability the other day.
Like I haven't heard that like 20 million times in the last couple of days.
Seriously, but like we can get back. Like that was just like one of the few. But
yeah, I think we just need to focus on our forwards because defensively we are so young and so promising. Our oldest defenseman, a regular, is Grizzlick.
Yeah,
and I'm
'cause
considering
Kevin Lowe's been
Grizzlick.
hurt, yeah.
Yeah, he's always hurt.
Yeah.
But Grizzlick's 27, 28.
Yeah.
Zaboral, I think he's in his mid-20s, 24.
Yeah, and then your two older guys above that are like the guys who have been hurt a lot, like Miller or John Moore. So like for regulars in the lineup, yeah, it's a young D now.
And it's not like they're bad or like not at all. And I think you mentioned it in our chat. The Bruins' problem isn't defense. And you can't. This is another thing that we put on our goalies a lot. It's like we don't win unless we don't score. We need to score.
I know.
And I'm still pulling up the trade tree because there's someone who Steve Dangle from Sportsnet. He does a series of trade trees, and he did one. But you can take it away for now.
When you just talk about the whole like building a good defense or like when it comes to players and stuff. Granted, like I know I talk about this other team a lot just because it's like my brother's favorite team. I follow them second closest. But one kind of deal I feel like people have overlooked in a way because he's not necessarily like your best defenseman. He's not the best one on the team, but he's very sturdy, and he's not necessarily recognizable across the league. But way back, what was it? After the 2012 season, or the 2013 season, actually, I think it was. It was one of those two, where the Penguins traded their insane third-line center, Jordan Stahl, at the time. And that was huge because that team had the best center depth by far, Crosby, Malkin, and Stahl. But in that trade, the standout piece that's still with Pittsburgh from that trade was Brian Dumoulin.
Well, and he's played so many games.
He's played so many games for Pittsburgh now. And when Letang gets hurt, he's usually the go-to guy. And then like when Letang was out, what was it, in 2017? I forgot he wasn't even really a part of that 2017 playoff team. Really, he was hurt. And so it was like Dumoulin and Schultz that were like the main two guys and stuff in that run and stuff. And so like he's been a solid guy for them for the years now. And so it's like they made that trade young. It worked out for both teams at the time. Both guys are still with those respective teams. But, I mean, getting a guy like Dumoulin, like he wasn't the flashiest guy, was a good kind of shutdown guy, but could chip in when he needed to. And it's helped their team. Like I really think that when Pittsburgh did their quick like build of like those two cup-winning teams, like with how they brought up the AHL coach, he brought up a lot of like the youth from the farm league to infuse in the lineup when people were hurt. That Pittsburgh model like completely rechanged the face of the NHL. Like for like the last 5 years, it's been different because of that, I think. And so like, I kind of like sometimes wish the Bruins would kind of take a little bit more of that like ideology. Like they're trying to now. Like they brought up their AHL coach to replace Julien. They have a lot more young guys playing. We've done a lot more like kind of like small trades and like signings, which have worked too.
I mean. The Richie's the latest one that's working for us right now.
Yeah, and that's not even the one I was thinking of initially. Like I'm like the small, like not necessarily small, but like the trades like when it was like Coyle coming for Donato, or when we signed Chris Wagner for like a deal, or when we had signed Craig Smith, and then obviously now the Nick Ritchie deal is really like surfacing well for us and things. And so yeah, it's like those little trades help too, and that's like what helped the Chiarelli era Bruins. Those small little trades. Like, not small, but, like, you know what I mean? Not, like, blockbuster, in a way.
Let's trade pasta for Malkin.
Yeah. Salary cap's crying at that.
So is the age.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never. I think the idea of trading a young prospect for an aging.
Bruins fans know that too much.
Yeah, pain.
How many guys have we given up over the? I mean, granted, you almost in a way needed to do that to like win the cup, or at least to get to the cup again. I mean, without trading Blake Wheeler, we might not have gone to the cup or won it in 2011 because we brought in Rich Peverly in that deal.
Yeah.
And then, even though we traded Sagan away, like we have been to a cup final, and so is he, like with the Stars. But we haven't. We've been to a cup final since getting rid of him, so like we've still been able to have success. And also, it's like it's all the what ifs. But like if you still had Sagan. he'd probably be in like the $6-7 million range for our deal if you decided to take the team friendly. What would that have done for if you had drafted someone like Pasta, McAvoy, Carlo? Like one of them probably wouldn't be here because of that.
Also, I don't think we would have. We can always play the game of like, let's look at what could have happened, but I don't think we would have had Pasta or McAvoy if we kept Sagan, just for the pure standpoint of like, yeah, for standings, exactly. How much. What did McAvoy go for? What
we drafted him, I think 14th overall.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's obviously a hit.
You brought up the point of that too, and that's usually what I bring up when people bring that up too. I was kind of like devil's advocating it right there, but yeah, it's like, well, you can't say what if because your team's standings would be completely different.
Yeah.
When you talk about standings and how teams' fates are so changed by simple small things, the infamous Patrick Stefan empty net miss. Remember that game? So everyone on YouTube has seen it. It's the Dallas Stars are about to put away the Oilers. They're up 1-0.
Was this a playoff game or no?
Last game of the regular season.
Oh.
Of 2005? 4 or 5. No, 6. Maybe 2006 because 2004-05 wasn't the season. So 5-6. So he was going for, and I find this very fascinating for people who might not know about the details. So he's going for the empty net and the infamous, the puck hops over the heel of his blade and then he slips and falls on the ice. The Oilers grab the puck, rush up, and Alex Hemsky ties the game with like less than 5 seconds left. And I think the Stars ended up winning in overtime. Mm-hmm. But because, and here's the crazy mind-blowing fact, because the Oilers got that 1 point for going to overtime against Dallas, they moved 1 point ahead and were now no longer the worst team in the league that year.
So
by getting that 1 point, it dropped Chicago down to the worst thing, and they got the first-round pick and picked Patrick Kane.
Wait, so
because Stefan missed that empty netter, the Blackhawks have Kane. Because the way the draft lottery was a little different back then.
It was just based on purely points.
I think it was. And then so literally that one thing, because apparently that's what it did. It put them just above the Blackhawks in the standings by 1 point. From what I've heard. I could be wrong, but I heard that from like another source.
Because they went to overtime?
It's because they went to because had Stefan not put the empty netter in, or had he put it in, they would have won the game right then and there. But Oilers forced OT because they tied the game with like 5 seconds left. Because it was like a 2-1 game or something like that. And then because they forced overtime, they got the point that like put them in the tiebreaker for 29th team in the league. So it's just like, man, you gave another team a dynasty by doing that. So, like you were saying with the whole draft stuff, it's like, you can't say the what ifs because like your draft standings and positions would be totally different and things.
I'm looking at the trade tree right now.
For the Nash deal still, or
I just picked because the video wasn't loading that well, but I just found out. So Connor Mill was actually Ottawa's pick because
Ottawa's pick.
Yeah, so because we sent a first round and a second round from the 2018 draft. They ended up having, I don't know if they traded their own prospects to move up in the draft.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because I thought it was New Jersey.
Wait, it was the same. It was the same. Okay, I didn't know. So this is confusing because it's saying the players' names, but I don't know if they had selected it before.
Because the Rangers had moved up. Like they had took the draft pick that we gave them and they used it to move up a pick. That's what it was, or a couple picks. Yeah,
they traded a first-round pick to go up. I mean, they just picked up Conrad Mill. Ottawa got a second-round pick of the same draft.
Yeah. But essentially, it's like our trade ended up like doing that for them. It's like how we traded Martin Jones immediately back to San Jose after getting him, kind of like that type thing. So, which is just wild how all these little like small technicalities.
Speaking of wild. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Manscaped.
I thought you were going to talk about Minnesota Wild.
No, I do. I just wanted to do that joke.
Demonetize negative money for saying it.
I'm looking at Minnesota right now because all I've been seeing on Instagram and Twitter is a Kirill Kiprasov, and how are they doing in the standings? They're
Let's
third.
see. They're having a quiet, good season, and like people, like I'm happy that the state of hockey, the fans have something to cheer about a little bit more this year. Because for like West Conference teams, they've been like the suffering, like Buffalo. Not like yes, they've made playoffs, but they always lose first round, so it's not even like they're there long. And so,
I just think I've been reading comments too, where it's like, watch. I want to see Minnesota face a real good team. I want to see because they've been playing Arizona and Anaheim for like ever. I mean, the Bruins also have that with we inflate our numbers a bit with the Flyers. So do the Rangers.
yeah, the Wild, they're actually right in front of us in the league standings. They're 12th overall and then we're 13th overall.
Oh God, we're down to 13.
Yep, because we have 39 points on the season. They have 44. Granted, they've played two more games, but still.
We'd still be behind.
Also, looking at the NHL.com app, here's something that's like really interesting to look at because everyone had picked this team, or this division, I should say, to be the weakest division. The Central Division has now 3 teams in the top 6 overall standings. Tampa Bay is first, Carolina's 4th, and Florida Panthers are 6th.
Oh, yeah.
Like that division is quietly like waking up and showing people that they're kind of showing powerhouses now.
Carolina has the this, I think it's the best, tied with Vegas.
Points percentage.
Point percentage was 742.
Yeah,
and that is insane. Carolina with an 11-1-3 home record.
Oh.
Tampa, I hate talking about Tampa because they're just so good.
Tampa is just like, they're to me like as much as it's sad that Montreal isn't our rival as much anymore, just because they've been like a little bit worse and we haven't played them as much. Well, Tampa Bay is our biggest rival still, I'd say. People say Toronto, but I still say Tampa Bay a little bit more, just because
Toronto's just a fun team to play against because you always smack them.
I mean, sure, it's original 6, and we have a tough time in the regular season against them, but I still think Tampa is like should be considered our biggest rival right now because we've played them just as much as Toronto in the past few years in the playoffs. But like it's.
I just want to like, I can already see the effect of like how these division realignments have done with just how teams do.
Right.
Just like how like I think this is a big case study we can look at for future seasons. And I don't want as fun as this is playing the same team 8 times. The rivalries that brew from it. It's not really like. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see another Bruins cap scheme like as soon as possible.
Oh yeah.
Same with a Pittsburgh game, but like at the same time, it's like we'll face the Islanders. I'm like, oh well.
Yep.
I'm gonna turn it off in the first period because Varlamov is saving everything. I'm like, oh, fuck.
And it's weird because Pittsburgh beats New York every time they play them, but we lose to New York every time we play them. Which is it's just funny how it works like that. But I think in the future, like what you were saying, like case study wise, if it's gonna stay, I like the idea of like playing a team a couple times in a row. However, I hope the league goes back to like you can play the other teams again because like I think it'd be cool, kind of be like, oh, you really want to see this team, but like say you have something going on like this day, you can see them this day instead and stuff. Like I think it's kind of cool in that sense, and it could still limit travel a little bit. But getting back to like looking at some of these standings and team things, this really could make a difference in the trade market because right now Nashville has the 4th spot in their playoff seed.
They're tied with
Chicago, and this is going to be very interesting down the stretch because this team has like 2 or 3 guys who are in the biggest trade rumors, like Ekholm, Arvidsson a little bit, Forsberg, and now even Ellis a little bit. They're still saying no to that, but like because some teams have asked about him even. But like if they can hold on to that playoff stretch, like they may not want to move anyone. They might want to give it a shot. But the thing is, it's like they could be in a playoff spot by the time the deadline passes and then lose it.
They could be in a better position too.
They could, and so that could completely change how this playoff thing is going to kind of pan out. And even the same with the Rangers. Rangers might be selling some people. They might not be. Same with
Artemi.
Yeah. But like
to Russia.
It's really, really interesting in that sense, I think. That's just something I saw and kind of wanted to point out.
I'm like looking at the Rangers right now. Again, I'm going back to the inflated stat type of thing. Mika Zibanejad with back-to-back games against the Flyers with 3 goals and 3 assists.
Twice.
Twice. But was it back-to-back games against? No, I'm not saying like consecutive, but I'm just saying he faced them one day,
Yeah.
and then
It wasn't like. I figured if like those teams had like a little bit of a COVID break, but I don't think so.
no,
It was just,
wait.
I think it was just back-to-back playing them, but not back-to-back overall games.
Oh no, back-to-back playing them. I feel so bad for Philly because Carter Hart's our age, and he's just getting lit up so badly.
It was just a healthy scratch. Last night was a healthy scratch.
I won't say ERA. This is in baseball. Goals against average north of 4. Save percentage below 850, I think. But oh my gosh,
You feel bad for him because, like, as much as people are saying he's sucking, your goalie is only as good as your defense is. It really is. And, like, if we're talking about Philly right now, they just waived Shane Gostisbehere, too, today.
What?
You didn't hear that?
No.
They just waived Shane Gostisbehere. No one has claimed him yet, but they're waiving him.
To pick someone off the waivers, you have to pick up their contract as well.
And he's got like a $4.5 million averaged until 2023. So, and then also other new like Nick Holden, brief Bruin. Vegas has waived today as well.
Yeah, he wasn't. I think he wasn't that big of a
difference maker. It's just an extra guy for depth.
Yeah,
but
he's
the
like
Gostisbehere thing is just like very interesting because if his contract wasn't that high, I think teams would be jumping on it.
So I'm reading a tweet that says, "Habs fan, how much of his regression is actually due to him versus the Flyers being awful? I don't watch, so I don't actually know the answer." And someone says, their username's Heart for Heart. Yeah, no. He actually is playing good this year. I wouldn't have waived him. He's been a top 3 D man for us, if not our best. I have no idea why he was waived any team. Should the Bruins pick him up with all the injuries that we always have?
It's just his contract. We can't bring him in. We'd have to immediately waive someone else ourselves with like a $2 million upwards deal. Or at that point, you almost essentially force out a trade of DeBrusk at that point. For a contract.
I'm gonna share my screen.
Let's get this Sharon going.
Sharon Govich. But we'll hear his name. You allow me?
I just did.
It's funny. It was someone reacting to the wave. It's like, oof. It's like, Oh my god.
That's funny. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm surprised. Well, I don't want to say I'm surprised like too much that like no one has already jumped on him because like he's been, but at the same time he's been linked to like trade rumors. Other teams have asked about him. So it's like,
if the Lightning pick him up,
they don't have the cap space. They don't have the cap space. If they friggin' no.
Oh my
Unless
God.
they decide to make Ryan McDonough LTIR.
They trade. How about this? Nashville trades the prospects, one of their D-man somewhere else, and then make cap space to sign Gostisbehere, if that makes any sense.
Well, he's still signed. It's just like you mean just to bring him in contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what Nashville's cap space thing is. But I don't know. That could be. It just depends on what each team really wants right now. Because I still think the deadline's gonna be interesting. Like I still think it's gonna be kind of active. Like everyone's thinking it's gonna be quiet. I think it's just gonna be weird with the way it's active. Like I think. It's not really. I don't know if it's gonna be a lot of last minute things or if we're gonna see a lot of stuff this coming weekend because it's like now that Canada, huge announcement actually. Canada has
allowed
shortened. Yeah, they've shortened their 14-day quarantine to 7 days for the I think I don't know if it's just for employed reasons, but like so essentially the NHL can help with that, and Montreal immediately capitalized on that, bringing in Eric Stahl for the 3rd and 5th round pick from Buffalo. So I've seen all the memes where it's like rescued instead of saying traded. It shows like 4 Buffalo players. It's like it shows them all still with the team, but then under him it's red letters rescued, like printed on like the MIA or like missing and stuff. So it's just kind of funny. But so that really can make a difference for them down the stretch. And like, he's like one of those players I feel like you got to respect because he's just been there so long. He's had a like decent, like solid
He's
career.
there for leadership.
Yeah, and he can still put up decent numbers if he's on a good team. Like he played with New York, all right, when he was briefly there at that like trade deadline and stuff. He played well in Minnesota.
God,
he had a revival in Minnesota. Didn't he have like 30 or 40 goals in Minnesota last year or 2 years ago?
He's been everywhere.
It's like Carolina, New York, Minnesota, and now Buffalo.
I forgot that he was in New York.
Yeah, because the Bruins were always linked to everyone in trade rumors. That was like a
Oh yeah, Bruins. We're linked to this trade. He's like,
yeah.
And then we don't do anything.
Yeah. Do you remember way back when we were linked to TJ Oshie before he went to Washington?
No. Again.
Same with St. Louis. And then you've
Pain is all I feel as a Bruins fan when.
And they were actually, I don't know how true this was, but even another source said that they were one of the teams that was like interested in signing Stamkos when he had that renewal with Tampa, just like they were with Tavares and stuff. It's just like I kind of hate when it's like, oh, linked. No, if you're not doing anything, don't say it. Like, come on.
It's
like,
so boring.
They're essentially like linked to everyone at this thing. Like they're linked to Raquel. They're
it's like
linked
cool.
to Palmieri.
It's like I know Barack Obama. It's like, oh, really? How? Oh, I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like the Bruins aggravate me.
Yeah, or it's like me. It's like, oh, I'm friends with Steven Tyler. Really? Oh, I shook his hand in Walmart when I was 8, which I did, which is wild. Aerosmith singer.
I actually knew Jimi Hendrix. Do you know about this, Chris? Do you know about this?
I didn't know about that.
I performed Little Wing in my guitar recital 2 years ago, and that's how I know Hendrix.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that you taught him Little Wing.
No, I taught him Voodoo Child.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of invented the wah pedal too.
Yeah, kind of like me with Jimmy Page. I kind of showed him the intro, and he's like, "Hey, that's cool. I'm gonna use that." And then he wrote a song called "Stairway to Heaven." So
yeah.
But
then your career went to hell. Boom.
The highway to hell.
Wait, I don't get that. Wait,
AC/DC.
Right? I know.
But
I'm looking at Eric Stahl right now. With he had
how many goals did he have with Minnesota like last year or 2 years ago? He had like a revival.
He played all
82
games. He scored 42 goals.
That's what I thought he did.
34 assists.
He had quite a revival, and it worked well. So I'm kind of surprised that because he got traded, he got flipped with Buffalo for Marcus Johansson. I was kind of shocked about that one for like Minnesota's perspective. Like, I thought, okay, for Buffalo it makes sense, but I didn't think it really did for Minnesota. So I'm surprised that maybe it's just simply contract related. But yeah, if we're talking about like Bruins being linked to people, I sent this one to like the so me and the two boys right here, Vitor and Chris, that we do the podcast with. We have a text group chat too and a Snap as well. But the Hockey Writers, I think, was the account or whatever it was. I don't know if you guys if we really talked about it, but the whole thing with Palmieri is even more interesting for Bruins because it's like he lives in Massachusetts in the off season, which I find very interesting. And like he also in the off season he'll like train with Wagner and Coyle. So it's like at this point it's like you almost feel like he's destined to come to Boston.
It's like, come on, you're so close.
And the other thing that's very interesting too with it is that he's on an expiring deal. So with Seattle coming into the league this fall, the Bruins would not have to protect him, and they wouldn't have to worry about losing another guy by adding him into the lineup. And they could always re-sign him after Seattle picks one of the other guys.
He should just come here, you know?
Like, granted, he only has 7 goals this year, but 4 of them have come against Boston. So, like, hey, if we want him to stop scoring against us, trade for him. Like, and maybe he can just play well on, like, that Krejci wing.
I think we need to talk about Krejci soon. Before we end this.
Sure. We can talk about him right after this one. There's one more thing I want to add that I kind of thought was interesting. The surprising shock of a healthy scratch for St. Louis was Mike Hoffman the other day. He was a healthy scratch. People thought he was immediately going to get traded to Buffalo for Hall and other stuff because St. Louis has been linked to Hall. Mike Hoffman was scratched. I know he has a lot of off-ice issues. Mainly it's his wife/fiance that caused that in Ottawa and then kind of brought him and Erik Karlsson into it with both the wives fighting.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But here's the thing I'm like wondering about. I think what's his contract this year? It's a 1-year deal, but I forget what it's worth.
Hoffman. It could be 4. It could be 6.
It's cheaper than 5. I know that. So here's the thing I'm wondering. The guy has been practically a 30-goal scorer consistently, about 28 goals, 29 goals sometimes. So he's been practically a consistent 30-goal scorer his career. He really succeeds on the power play. He's a left-shot defenseman. Defenseman. Left shot.
Left wing.
Left shot, like forward, left wing. Usually plays left wing. Sometimes can play the off wing.
Mm-hmm.
As much as it's like it could cause issues in the locker room, and I'm not saying it's gonna, but is that someone that I feel like the Bruins need to kick the tires on that? Because, like, say, yes, we don't want to just rely on power play scoring, but that could really boost up your second offensive power play. You put him on a wing with Krejci. Mm-hmm. You bring him in. He can be the shooting guy that Krejci has needed since essentially Iginla left and Lucic left. Do you try and bring in a guy like Hoffman and make that work so that he is now like your top 6 shooter who could put up decent numbers for the team in a postseason run and things like that? Because, like, Krejci could do well with that. Problem is, it's like, who would you trade up for that? And, like, obviously the only name really that would come to mind, and it probably doesn't make sense for Bruins in that sense, but it's like you might have to throw DeBrusk back the other way to show, like, hey, St. Louis, here's a promising potential person who could succeed with you in a change of scenery.
Yeah.
Has already, like, had success with a team that played you in the playoffs and lost to you.
I think his offense would fit there.
I do too, and that's why it's just like, do you consider that if you're Boston, bringing a guy who you know is going to shoot with Hoffman to play on Krejci's wing and kind of give like a kind of chance in the playoff stretch? I don't know. What do you think?
I'm looking at Hoffman's stats right now. Again, like I've said before, his plus minuses for a team like St. Louis that's struggling. That Bennington contract. St. Louis is he has 8 goals, nothing too spectacular.
It's been a down year.
12 assists. He has 20 points in 33 games.
That's not bad.
It's like a solid ratio for someone who wasn't really expected much out of.
Right, and mind you, if we want to compare it to another guy the Bruins are linked to, Connor Garland, who's leading Arizona in points, he has, I think, 25 points through 30-something games. So, like, something around that area. And so it's like, it's not too far off from that.
Mm-hmm. How about the Ekblad injury?
That's just so
That's an
unfortunate.
ACL. That's
like,
an ACL.
It could be both. It could even be the trifecta, like Lee had. But, like, that was tough to watch. And, like, he's been a consistent guy for them since being drafted first overall in, I think, 2014. Mm-hmm. And so, like, the Panthers are starting to look like a really good – I'm happy for them because it's like they have talent. Like, they have Barkov, Huberdeau, Ekblad on the back end. They used to have Trocheck. I was shocked they traded him because, like,
he's doing well in Carolina too.
He is. A lot of people actually thought he was going to be the new captain because he, I think, had been there a little bit longer than Barkov, even though despite being still so young. But I was kind of shocked when he was the one moved out. And even, like, way back when, Bukestad was kind of part of their core. Then they traded him when he started the slump to Pittsburgh. But
Pittsburgh gets everyone.
Yeah, and then Hornquist is playing great for that trade has worked out really well for the Panthers. But Matheson has been playing well for Pittsburgh. Like, he's not as flashy, but he's had some nice shutdown things and jumped up on the rush. He's not going to be like an equivalent in any way because different position completely, but also just different type of player. But, yeah, I mean, the Panthers have a set group, like we said earlier, 6th in the league in points right now, 6th in the standings overall. And so they have, like, a really promising future, and, like, that just took a huge blow to their team. I still think that they can make playoffs without him, but, like, they might not be able to get as far because that's, like, those are huge shoes to fill when you lose someone like that.
Yeah, it's just, I think, I just want to go back to the Bruins real quick.
Yeah, because I know you want to talk about Krejci too before we close.
I think as much as it stinks, I think we need to move on from Krejci after his contract or try to trade him before his contract expires. I just think, how many times have we said, oh, we need more wings or we need more of this or that? And I don't know. I just feel like my thoughts about Krejci have just been conflicted for a while.
In my opinion, if we bring him back, which I'm not against, he's not going to be the type of player that's going to look for a big deal. Like, I honestly, no one's really going to do it unless they need to get cap, like a team like Ottawa or Arizona that need to add cap to make sure they're in the minimum if they reach that issue. But If he takes like a $3 million deal or something, or even cheaper, like I'm completely fine with keeping him around.
Tell everyone to get a cheaper deal.
Yeah, I mean that's the Bruins' mentality. Marchand has admitted it, Pasta's admitted it, and stuff. And so, but yeah, I mean, even the same thing. I think a little bit more of an issue than Krejci right now. Not the change, because yeah, I'm with you. As much as you could say it's wingers thing, it's like Krejci's been the one there the whole time. But then again, he used to go off when he had good wingers. Like he led the playoffs in points twice, in 2011 and 13. And so, granted, that's so many years removed now, 10 and 7 respectively, I think, something like that. But yeah, it is tough. But it's just like it depends on who you can have to replace. Like if you're gonna let him walk, or if he's gonna retire, is it Coyle that's now gonna be second line center? Or are you going to try and still keep him at a wing and try and bring in at like a free agent center, someone like a Nugent Hopkins, which would be a lot to like ask for money wise, or do you just like have Studnicka play third line center now, or Frederick, and then have Coyle as the second line? It's the questions there, but I think another question that we could touch on before we close today too is a lot of concerns Bruins fans have with the other 2011 champion core member who has an expiring contract with Tuukka Rask. He still is not going to be playing this week. Something has happened with him. He's had an injury that's he came back briefly for one period and then left and hasn't been playing since. And it's a concern because like
it looks something like, I know they showed his the where you try to reach out on the ice and like pick the puck up. It wasn't anything bad. Like the other team was playing. Was it the Devils or someone else? But the other player.
Maybe it was Buffalo on Thursday?
Yeah, it was Buffalo. The Buffalo players weren't really doing much. They were kind of like they were respecting his his crease and all that.
He didn't get run over.
No, and he like reached out for the puck, and something happened. They were showing that highlight, and
I think it happened prior to that because when he was getting to it, he was already limping. I think it was like another save where he kind of tweaked, and then that was just kind of adding to it or something.
Yeah, I think the Bruins are in a spot where they need to really highlight their goalie situation. I think Vladar can be a solid 2 right now.
But who's going to be the one? Because it's Rask and Halak are on expiring deals. It's like, are we bringing back both, or are we bringing back one or the other? And
or are we bringing in 2 rookies?
Because the thing is, too, that is curious is Swayman, who has been dominating the AHL right now. A lot of people thought he was actually going to come up and play over Vladar. Problem is, if you do that, you burn a deal off his entry-level deal that's yet to happen. And so, yeah, you can't worry about future in that sense. But what are his AHL numbers for Providence right now? They were really good a couple weeks back.
So, again, just to remind audience, he's a 22-year-old Alaskan. He's from Alaska. Or he was born there, at least.
And remind me, is he the goalie in our system that changed his last name? There was a goalie in our system that changed their last name. It used to be a last name with a Z. Because I think it was like something like there was
Zaboral, yeah.
No, let me see what it is, because I think it was one of our goalies decided to change his last name because his grandma had on one side didn't have like any one to carry on that name, so it must have been like his mother's grandma or something.
Look it up.
I'm gonna It might be Swayman actually.
Jeez, let me just try to find it. So 2021 in 8 games played. Oh boy. He's 7-1-0. Again, we have to look at who he's playing.
Yeah, and you got to remember it's still professional, but it is the AHL. It's not the big leagues.
Yeah. He's played 8 games. His goals against average is 1.88. His save percentage is 932. He has 1 shutout. And we can even go back to his last year at UMaine. He had a 2.07 GAA, 939 save percentage. You're playing against college kids, but still, they're your age. You got to respect it, anyways. So it's a win-loss tie in college. He had 18 wins, 5 losses, and 11 ties.
What's the record? What was the wins? I heard 5.
He had 18 wins and 5 losses and 11 ties. Yeah. That could be 1-1, 0-0, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm all in for bringing in Vladar and Swayman. But obviously you have to think about the experience. What about their experience? How can you tell?
Right.
Try it out. Just try.
Right. And getting back to the thing I was saying earlier, last name wasn't with a Z. It was his first name. That was Zane. But it was
Zane McIntyre.
Zane Gothberg was his original name, and then he switched it to Zane McIntyre.
Huh.
So I don't know if he's still in our system. Maybe
No, he's not.
Yeah. But I know at one point he was. So yeah. But that's who I was thinking of. It wasn't Swayman. But yeah, a lot of people thought Swayman was going to come up like with those numbers. Like that's really good for AHL guy too. But then again, it's like you don't want to rush the development either. So it's a gamble. Like some people thrive right in the moment, others don't, and you can't really tell.
Carter Hart.
That's yeah, and that too, and that you could also say that's a team effort that's hindering him. But I mean, that's also probably why they do the whole nine game grace period before you have to decide if you're going to bring the rookie skater back for his 10th game or send him back down. That way you don't have to burn a year off his entry-level deal. At least for the forwards and defensemen, that's how it is. I don't know how it works for goalies. But
Zane McIntyre, I know it's random, but he's played with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, 9 games, whatever. I don't even want to go into it. It's just remember Andrew Hammond, the Hamburglar?
yeah, for Ottawa.
Jeez, talk about the best start to a career in NHL history, regardless of forward or what position you play.
And then drop. Well, you could also say Andrew Raycroft won the Calder as our rookie goalie, and then we traded him for Rask.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'd say that one might be actually a little bit more over that.
He's 40. Oh, well.
Yeah. But
well,
yeah, just put this in perspective, though, too. Him and Bergeron were rookies the same year they started. Raycroft and Bergie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because goalie has to get more experience.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's just funny that's literally how long Bergeron's been playing, too. So
2003 probably had some of the best drafts, and
it's arguably.
I'm not just talking about hockey.
Oh yeah. Just overall.
LeBron James was picked number 1 in the 2003.
Oh, just for a year combined. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, they ranked that 2003 NHL draft as arguably the best. There was one in I think the 80s that was really good, and then the other arguable one you need a lot more time to decide on it. But the 2015 one.
Who was in there?
McDavid first overall, then Jack Eichel. DeBrusk was 14th, but then you had guys that we passed on like Konechny, Thomas Chabot, Kyle Connor,
Matthew Barzal.
Matt Barzal.
Right after.
Yep. There's a lot of guys in that draft, and that's like a really solid one too. But that needs more time for people to determine if that's better than the 2003 one. But I mean, I don't know. Do you think Bruins play again against New Jersey tonight? Around the league, there's other games going on too. Are we gonna take a what's it called? A guess? Are we gonna? Who else is playing tonight? That games that matter.
For March 30th, we are gonna give our picks on who the winner is.
A game to watch tonight for standings for other divisions is the Blackhawks Carolina game.
Edison, put the logos of each team and put our predicted score. Oh my god, I can't speak.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to see what other games kind of
Kublik's
matter.
Gonna
right?
score.
And then Dallas is playing Nashville, so like that could decide which of those teams is in the 4th seed again. So
Ben's gonna score 1. I say Grizzlick scores another one tonight for the Bruins. I say Bruins win with the addition and the talking to by Cassidy.
Yeah.
Seems he really doesn't do much talking. He just repeats the same junk over and over. But I'm going to give the Bruins a 4-2 win. You're going to get a goal first by Miles Wood. I hope I'm right because this would be amazing. And your first star is going to be Brad Marchand, who picks up a goal and 2 assists. Very specific. Specific, but
I'm with you in the fact that Martian's going to get an assist. I think he's going to factor in immediately. However, I don't know who's going to score other goals for us, but I think we're going to fall again. I think it's going to be a 3-2 loss. I think Pavel Zacha is going to get one of the goals for Nashville. Nashville, wow. Yeah, totally. New Jersey. I'm thinking Nashville because of how significant they are across the league right now with like rumors and things. But I think if the Bruins lose tonight, it's going to force a hand immediately, I think, after. Like this weekend, you might see change. I think this game will determine how Sweeney's going to handle things.
Because, again, like it's been mentioned by Jack and Brickley, no even strength goals in 4-5 games against the Devils.
Right.
What potions are you giving to Blackwood and Wedgwood?
Yeah.
The Woods.
And then the other thing, though, is, too, it's like, sure, we've been winning against teams enough that are ahead of us in the standings, but, like, if you can't beat teams that are below you in the standings, you're not going to make it far in the playoffs at that point. Like, sure, you've beat them a few times, not every time, but you got to start winning every game if you're trying to build up that playoff caliber. And so I guess we will see what happens. This episode will be on and aired on YouTube well after this game has concluded.
When the NHL playoffs start.
Yeah. We've again, I know I've said it a lot, but episode 3 has been already released by the time you see this one. Episode 4 and 5, because I believe this is episode 6, I can't remember. They should be both up relatively soon, and this one hopefully will be out about a week to a week and a half max after it's been recorded today on the 30th. So we appreciate your patience and things, and we know some of the info might not be up to date by the time it gets aired. Some things could have changed. However,
who knows? The Bruins go on an 11-game winning streak.
And I'm surprised we didn't even talk about it today, but by the time we get back to you, Buffalo still might be on their losing streak or winless streak. But 18 straight games without a win, that's tough. I feel bad for their fans. But hopefully for the Bruins, they can turn around and they don't have it as bad as them right now, but they need to get it going if they want to see the change. And so with that, we can conclude the episode. We thank you all for tuning in, listening, and or watching. And I myself here, Christopher Ferrante,
and Chris Corteau and Vitor da Silva.
And we look forward to giving you more info as the weeks come on, as we get closer to the deadline and all other stuff going on in the NHL.
We want to wish you a happy Easter for those who celebrate.
Yes.
And a happy... before we end, I need to look up what today's national day is. Because you know how every day has like a happy thing.
Probably like National French Fry Day or something.
Oh my God! Wait, no, it's not today.
That'd be funny if it was. Oh, I just realized we missed Pie Day. I didn't even realize that.
Shoot, it's National Doctor's Day. That's definitely needing of.
All right, so all you PhD people, congrats! Thank you.
National Pencil Day.
Ooh.
National Turkey Neck Soup Day.
Nice.
National I'm in Control Day, Take a Walk in the Park Day, Virtual Vacation Day. Wow, they just added the virtual vacation last year because of
add a green screen and you're good. Whatever day you're watching this, look up whatever random national day it is for your holiday of the day and enjoy that when you're watching this episode. But yes, happy Easter to all. And for all of you just watching and enjoying, just keep following the news, and then we'll give you what we can with the hockey stuff as well. So take care.